Life after enlightenment. Before enlightenment, you appear in the world. And after enlightenment, the world appears in you. That's a significant change. The shift in perspective, where the experience is happening, that changes everything. It's another change that I haven't mentioned in the previous videos, is that life doesn't have the seriousness to it. It's all a play. There's no seriousness. The seriousness is very much coming from thinking that like life is some game that you have to win. You see this with our society, right? Where competing, it's a game. When there's a game, there's going to be the competition. Where there's competition, it's coming from comparing yourself to others, right? This ranking. Are they a little ahead of me? Do they have like more stuff than me? So see that with society. After, it's a play. It's a play, has no point to it. There's nothing to win. So there's no seriousness, right? There's no seriousness, and therefore there's playfulness, right? There's also no seriousness because I guess we can use the analogy of a dream. It's like you waking up from a dream that you're taking to be serious in the dream, maybe getting chased by a lion or some sort of problem happening in your dream. And then you wake up and then it's, you kind of like smile, laugh, shed a tear. Oh, that was only a dream, right? So no matter how hard you kind of think about that dream, you can't take it serious after awakening from it. So the same is true with life. It doesn't really matter what's going on. You can't take it serious. You can't take it serious. What else can we say? I guess connected to the seriousness, when you feel serious about things, you get all serious, you get heavy. So there's no heaviness anymore of any sort of situation. Money problems, business problems, relationship problems, none of that has any heaviness to it. There's just lightness. There's lightness. Life itself is lighter. Kind of touching this heaviness, lightness. There's this feeling like nothing sticks to you. like you're like just nothing sticks to you. I was going to come up with some sort of thing that's very slippery. Nothing's coming to mind, but it's like you're super slippery and nothing sticks to you. Someone says some mean comment or whatever, it's like, right? It's like it goes through you. It's either nothing sticks to you because nothing's there, or you could say it's just going through you again because nothing's there, right? Like even certain experiences, nothing sticks in the sense of like memory. Prior to enlightenment, see, in this, I didn't even have this much. I didn't even have this much stickiness prior to enlightenment, but I see it with like my family or friends, right? Like there's an experience and then there's that experience and then it kind of sticks, right? If it's a negative experience, then it's like talking about the negative experience, or it's kind of like, from my perspective back then, you could sit, it would be like, all right, let's drop it. Stop talking about it. It's done. It's over. It's gone. There's this moment that we're missing because we can't get the other moment out of our head, right? Meaning you're stuck in the past. The same thing can happen for positive experiences too, where you start to cling. I just want to, what's the word, like reminisce. You see this with people, they get together and it's like, let's talk about the good old times, right? Where it's like, again, in the past, clinging to an experience. In this case, it's a positive experience, but it's this grasping on, this clinging to it, this holding on to it. Whereas after enlightenment, it's like, as soon as that moment's done, it's like you don't waste a second thinking about it. It's like, because you're fully present. Because as that moment is coming through to be experienced, you're experiencing it right here, and then it just keeps going, kind of thing. Like, it's done, it's over. But it's a continuum, right? So there's that next experience, which then if you follow this one into the past, you're missing the next experience. Better example would be, instead of me drawing out here, is like one of those hourglass sand timers, right? Being fully present in the flow. Where is the flow of the sand? Where's the flow of the sand? It's right in the middle, the neck of the sand timer, right? Being fully present is right there. But most people aren't there. They're not even there for, an hour of their life each day. Right? They're usually at the top worrying about what hasn't happened yet, what's unborn, what doesn't really exist, or at the bottom, which is what has happened, and it's over, it's dead, it's done, it's gone, right? Whereas where's the flow of the sand timer is right in the middle, right? And being fully present is like being with each grain of sand, each moment as it passes through the middle, like the neck. That's the only way to experience life. Because up here and here, you're not really experiencing life. You're experiencing your imagination and you're experiencing your memory. Whereas in the middle, you're experiencing reality. You're experiencing life itself, being fully present with it. Because you're being fully present with life, your experience is full. It's so fulfilling. It's so alive. What's here? It's like there's not much movement. Here, it's done. There's not much movement. Where, like, the life, you could say, of that sand timer is like, it's right in the middle. That's where all the action is. That's where the activity is. That's where the life is happening. So that's where you're staying 24/7. That's why after enlightenment, it's a 24/7 flow state, and it's effortless. It's not, you don't try and be in flow. You don't try and meditate. It's just 24/7 meditative. You become meditative, right? Meditation is not something, meditation is not what you do. Meditation is what you are. But that's only revealed after. That's only realized after. Right? So before, I didn't really have too much. Like, there definitely wasn't like stuck in the past with business and stuff. There was a leaning into the future and looking and setting goals and stuff, but not living there. I see a lot of people, they live there. Definitely was way more present. Like I said, as As there's the maturing of the ego, the thinning out of the ego, there's more of the presence, right? It's like kind of like as the ego diminishes, as dissolves, then the presence arises. So you're more present. People who have strong identification, right? Like not a big ego in the sense of how like Western culture thinks, oh, a big ego means that you're full of yourself. It's not like that. It's more your identification with the body mind. Your identification. You think that this is what you are. This is the only thing, right? That sense. So as the ego matures, it then starts to thin out, you could say. Whereas then that presence, where it starts to diminish or decrease and the presence starts to increase, you can say. It has that feeling. Again, I got to make up these kind of metaphors, and because I'm relaying like the non-dual to I'm relating like the absolute, the experience of absolute to the relative level, which it's not super accurate, right? Because I'll give you an example. This example is, as I'm saying, is like as the ego diminishes, then the presence increases. That's what it feels like on the relative level. On the absolute level, there is no ego and there's only presence, right? That's what I mean. There's presence all the time. It's here now. It's right here, right now. Right? So it's not like I said, like you're gaining something or get more presence power. It's not like that. But from the relative standpoint, it definitely feels like that. It definitely feels like you got to practice presence to increase it, get more presence points. What level are you at? Oh, you're at a level 6. I'm at a level 7, right? It kind of feels like that. But after enlightenment, it's very clear that it's always here. It's always been the case, right? It's kind of like, give you another example, the classic that I keep on referring back to, because I don't know, you can basically explain anything with this one metaphor of the ocean, right? It's like the ego, you could say, is like the identification with the body, which is the form, right? The mind, right? The body mind, let's call that a form. It's being identified as the wave, right? And it's kind of like saying is as the wave is kind of folding, you could say, it's like, oh, from the wave standpoint, it's like it's becoming less and less of a wave. And you can say it's becoming more and more of the ocean, right? On a relative level from the perspective of the wave, right? But from the perspective of the ocean, it's like it was never a wave because there's only the ocean. The wave is just the activity of the ocean, right? So there is no wave. It's like there is and there isn't, based off of what perspective. From the absolute perspective, there's only the ocean. There's no lakes, there's no rivers, there's no streams, there's no ponds. It's all just water, which is the one source, which we give it a name, water, or give it a name, ocean. But it's just the one, not two, non-dual. But from the perspective of the wave, it's like, I'm a wave, that's a wave, this is a wave, right? From the wave standpoint, it's kind of waving at all the other waves, believing that it's separate. But the wave has always been the ocean. In the wave, there's the ocean. And in the ocean, there's the wave, right? So, but from when we're kind of locked into being the wave, which is the separate self, the ego viewpoint, standpoint, is it kind of, personal development. I got to be a big wave, right? It's coming up. Oh, right? You get to like these, a lot of status and success and fame. You could get up here and I'm a tidal wave, right? You look at this in our society, right? The heavy hitters, right? It's like, I want to let everyone know my name. I want to be omnipresent, right? And you can't be omnipresent as a wave. You're actually omnipresent as the ocean, right? But when this thing wants to be omnipresent, when this thing wants to be all powerful, right? Well, it's the collapse. It's the collapse of the wave, right? So then the wave starts, collapsing into the ocean, right? And that can happen through just life seemingly breaking you down, or what I suggest is a more graceful way is you do it yourself. Like you learning about the mind and you watching your mind and seeing how it works and breaking that down, right? You're deconstructing yourself. You deconstruct your ego. But it depends on how mature you are to handle the truth. Because you can see it's like from this point of view, it's like very much an illusion where does a wave actually move for itself? Is the wave actually in control? Right? That's what I said is kind of like at first, back to the start of the video, at the first, there's, as the wave, you could say, is you're appearing in life, right? The wave appears in the ocean, right? In life. But then there's like a flip. And it's, the waves, right, are appearing in me, right? It gets flipped. Life is appearing in me. The waves are appearing in me as the ocean, right? So it's totally different because as the wave, you feel separate. You feel separate from all the other waves. That's a wave 1, 2, 3, 4. How many waves are there? Trillions, right? So many, right? How many people are there? How many different things, plants, animals? There's so many. I feel so separate, right? But from the standpoint of the ocean, it's all me. There's no separation. It's all me. It's all one. All these other waves, they just don't know that they're the ocean, right? So hopefully that kind of analogy helps. What other things change? So what is life appearing in me? No heaviness, no seriousness. What did we say? I think we said like meditative all the time, right? Whereas again, this one was very, like I said, there's probably the ego probably was very loose here. It was already very deconstructed because there's no formal practicing of meditation. But I did, now I realize that, yeah, like, whoa, I was in some of these meditative states for like a long time. I was able to, there was just a witnessing of the mind for a long time. During runs would be meditative for me. Walking was meditative. Driving was meditative. There was no like formal sit down practice to actually sit and meditate. No guided meditations, none of that. There was just like yoga stretching type of stuff. But even then, it's more of like a free flow. Like I don't know what I was doing, just move my body. But that's the one thing though, was doing that every day. Not a day went by where I wasn't busting out some stretch or trying to do something, right? But it just always felt good, and I always kind of just related to that too. Oh, like I'm just stretching. It must be like the stretch receptor is giving you that feel good. But now I see it's that portal to being present, being fully in the body and feeling the sensations, right? And just being one with the breath. And then I was, whatever you want to call it, if you want to call it like psychic breathing, being able to send that breath to different areas, being able to like allow like the arms and your lower back to breathe essentially. Sounds kind of crazy if you're not into it, but it's like you can breathe the breath, the life energy into areas of your body and feel that release. The yoga stretching also was a practice of surrendering to the discomfort, the pain, the stiffness. It was about letting go of the mind, letting go of the body. And when there was the letting go, there was the release. So whatever was tight, whatever stretch I was trying to increase the range of motion on, right? Some sort of back bend or something is just release, and it's just like melting, dissolving, right? And then this ability of like concentration to really just didn't matter where I was. If I had my eyes closed, it's like nothing else existed. Nothing else existed. Right? So just this dialed in, like really focused, and just everything just blurred out in the background. There's just the one like muscle with the tension in it. And then there's just releasing of that tension, or just the one breath breathing into the hamstrings, let's say, or the hips, or whatever it is, low back, right? Forget what we're talking about. So that would be very meditative. That'd be very meditative. But you could see, like, even then there was something to do. It was like something to access that meditation. Whereas after enlightenment, there's now right there. There's no doing. It's 24/7. It's an effortless meditation. It's an effort. Even when I'm talking, it's meditative. Even when I'm talking, it's meditative. But to kind of remove the talking, and if you're open enough to just feel that stillness, it's there. It's just fully absorbed. You're fully absorbed in the self, fully absorbed in the absolute, while at the same time there's obviously this experience that's unfolding, that's happening, right? It's like the experience is there, but you're fully absorbed as the ocean. The waves are there, but there's a full absorption in the ocean as the ocean. It's hard, it's difficult to it's difficult to talk about. It's difficult to talk about. That's why the best the best thing would be, like I said, is sort of like the silent transmissions, because you can experience that samadhi state if you're open enough. You can experience it. It can just take you here and now in this reality, right? You get out of your dream and take you right into it. But it's taking you right into your true nature. Back to the analogy, as the ocean. That's why it feels like you're absorbed and you're just everywhere. That's omnipresent, right? You're everywhere because the ocean's everywhere. As a wave, you feel like you're confined to this just little foot, the form. How tall of a wave are you? Oh, we got a 10-footer, right? But how tall are you as the ocean? How wide are you as the wave? How wide are you as the ocean? Right? It's different, right? And even then, just the analogy is obviously limited, like all analogies. How tall are you? How wide are you? How far do you expand? Do you stretch out as infinity? Because the wave, let's say, it's finite. This form is finite, right? But the infinite being that you haven't realized yet, where would that go? It doesn't go anywhere. It's here now. Where else could it be if it's infinite? If it's infinite, it has to be everything. It has to. It has to be everywhere. It's infinite. And what are you saying? It's infinite except for in you, except for you. Everything is infinity except for you. Right? That's where it doesn't really, people don't kind of listen when they speak. Do you believe that God is infinite? Of course God is infinite. Okay. Then I guess you're God. Oh no, not me. Did you just hear what you said? Infinite is infinite, right? But you saying God is everywhere except for me, then that's a limitation, right? It's funny. Anyways, back to some of the changes. Again, another change. I didn't really dream that much before. I mean, early in my childhood, definitely some dreams, definitely dreams. But then we got to a point where it was kind of like people would still be talking about dreams. I'm like, I just can't remember my dreams. I just can't remember my dreams. But now it's like dreamless. You might as well say, when I go to bed, I'm dead. When I go to bed, I'm dead. Because it's like you're totally gone. It's just nothingness. And then it's like, now, there's, okay, somethingness, nothingness, and then somethingness. Oh, this is happening again. All right. Right. It's like, there's that experience but the experience of sleep is just peace, infinite peace. Right. But there's no like restlessness and none of that. No dreams, waking up. No waking up to go to the washroom or anything. It's just like out. Just sound sleep. I think that's what people say. It's peaceful rest, let's say. Right? It's just, you just feel, right? You're just gone. You're just gone. It's basically, it's like, then there's like unmanifest, manifest kind of thing. That's the experience. You're both. But then it's like just the experience, because what's the experience of unmanifest? Is nothing. What's the experience of manifest? Well, this, you can say something. So then it's like it's like two experiences, nothing and something. What else? It might sound, it's going to come across very egotistical, I guess. Kind of like, I don't know how else other people say it. Yeah, just like an egotistical thing. But I notice how the energy of like the room and the environment changes. I can feel the change that it has on others. when I walk in, that it's like, oh, it's lighter. It's more, people are more present. They're more peaceful. I can feel this at the start. I could feel this. And then I just wanted, I wanted confirmation, because the absorption is so much that it's like, you feel like, it's like you're just being absorbed in yourself. But also at the same time is like, the other people are also myself, the greater self, you can say, right? Back to the ocean, right? And it's like, there's obviously people see the waveform, but I see the waveform and know the ocean. They just see the waveform. And as the ocean, that wave and that wave and that wave and that wave is also me. So when this kind of was happening, when it was kind of new, it was like, like, I'm just like, I'm zenned out, and other people are becoming more zenned out. And I'm like, this wasn't happening before. Like, before it was very much like, you see a lot of people in their head, and like that still exists. I'm not saying that's totally gone, but it's kind of like, especially too, when I just like go fully absorbed, it's like some people, they just don't talk. They just go into like a no mind, peaceful state. And then after, it's like kind of like, I know what's happening. I don't know how it's happening, but I know what is happening. And then after I kind of confirm, I go, so did you enjoy not thinking for a while there? And then they kind of, yeah, but they don't know they don't know what's going on. Like, they don't even know what happened, because usually it's like chatter of the mind. And then it's like flat lines, right? Just basically just, for lack of better words, just hit that stillness, right? And it's even that, like, it's not a good set of words, because it's like, you're always the stillness. It's just, it feels like you just kind of bring that energy back in and just make everything still. It's hard to explain. And then everything becomes still. And then, just to kind of confirm, I had to ask and go, did you feel your mind stop? And I go, yeah. Like, they're like shocked. Like, one, they kind of are in disbelief that their mind just stopped. Like, what happened? Because they've never experienced that. Two is then they're saying, how the F do you know? Like, how did you know? And then it really freaks them out if I say, do you want that again? Do you want to experience that again? And they go, really start, they don't run or anything like that, but it's kind of neat. It's kind of neat. Obviously it's not like a party trick or anything like that. But I do notice that it's like, you can just be in a room and just make it more peaceful. It's nice. It's nice, because you notice, obviously, like I talk about in these other videos, that being in your head is not peaceful. Being in your head is not peaceful. Past and future, it's conflict. It's not peaceful at all. And it's like, I can see it. Past, future, past, future, past. See the conflict, where then it's kind of almost like, depends on how identified they are and how closed off they are, or how stuck in a mood where they're closed off. Someone that's more open, yeah, I mean, they can feel the presence just walking into the room, kind of thing. They can feel the presence, especially if they're really connected to it. They feel it. The more connected to it you You feel it even when the presence, even when I'm not there, because the presence is omnipresent. It's omnipresent. But people kind of wonder, and there's no distance that's needed. This happens with, who's it, just like the other night, someone in India and I'm in Canada. Boom. Like Australia, it doesn't matter that distance, right? It doesn't matter the distance. It's like, oh, well, that's a wave way over there. It's like the other side of the ocean. That's where the wave is. But the presence is the ocean, right? There is no space in that regard. But it's kind of cool, the transforming of the room, and just kind of noticing it's like when I'm calm, the room's calm kind of thing. I can feel that change. Now it depends on how, like I said, how open you are. Because it seems to like, you can only take as much as you're able to handle, you can say. We can say it's like an energy thing, is like just like 1,000 volts of energy. But if you can only handle 200 volts of energy, you can only then receive those 200 volts. So it's interesting. It's interesting just seeing the interaction with people, where they're at, some of the interaction. It's like they want to just talk about life coaching in the sense of setting goals and building their business or whatever it is. And it's like, it's kind of like it's always like they get something, exactly what they need, and they have like an aha moment, a realization or something like that at that level. But that's what they needed. That's what they needed. Like they're not ready for, here, want an experience of no self, right? Is that they're not ready for that. They're not ready for any of that type of stuff. It's like they can only handle what they can handle. But they kind of say like something like, "Oh, I'm so like motivated now," the next day. Or like I've had someone say like, "What was that? Was that like some crazy like voodoo stuff or whatever?" Like, what? The phone call? No. And they're like, but it's like after I hung up the phone, I just felt like new, like started like wanting to, eat better and work out and stop drinking, stop smoking. Like like something happened, right? Where it's kind of cool, whereas there's so much change happening around you, and you're just so happy for them because it's you in another form. It's you in another form. I think I mentioned this in the other video, another life after enlightenment, but I'll mention it here just in case I didn't, because we're on the topic, is that when you see other people suffering, it's like you're suffering, right? It's like you feel it, but again, it doesn't have that stickiness. It's like you're feeling it, but you're like not feeling it. Like you're feeling it, and you can feel it totally because you know that you're beyond it, right? It's like you're the container for that suffering. Whereas like as just a separate self, it's like the suffering is so big and you're the separate self. Like really the separate self is suffering. Like you could just swap out separate self or the ego and suffering. And that's the thing. When there's no ego, there's no suffering, right? Suffering is entirely personal, right? It's always your suffering, right? But the bliss that I experience, it's not my bliss. It's just bliss. It's not personal. There's the experience of bliss, but it's like, there's no like, it's mine, right? Whereas suffering is very much like my suffering. It's like my story, right? It's this, well, who's the me, right? Find out, discover where that I is. Where is that I? Is there an I? Discover who you are. It's like humanity's biggest problem for every human being is suffering, right? That's the big problem. And you can say, well, that problem is existing. There's also another problem just as big, although it doesn't appear to be a problem, although it doesn't even register as a problem, although it never even arises as like, what is this? Right? And that problem is only seen from the standpoint from enlightenment. The problem is almost every human being doesn't know who they are. That's the problem. But it's, like I said, it's only seen from a problem from the viewpoint of enlightenment, right? The wave doesn't know that the wave is actually, in fact, the ocean. And that realization is then the end of suffering, right? So you could say problem one, humans suffer. Problem two, humans don't know who they are. The better thing is, instead of saying who am I, it'd be what am I? Because you're a what, not a who. Because a who, again, you're always looking for like a person. But the realization is that you're not a person. You're not a person. A person is this mental construct that we've created with the identification. It's like the construct of like a form and feelings and beliefs and mental projections, and that's the person. Find out where that person is, right? And then you look and you'll never find that person. You'll never find it because it doesn't exist. And then boom, right? How can something that doesn't exist suffer? But that has to be experienced. It can't just be believed, oh, yeah, I don't exist. And then you're still experiencing the suffering. That's not it. It needs to be directly experienced and let go of, right? Because you might get a glimpse and oh, but I want the person back. So then you kind of reconstruct yourself as a person. It needs to be let go fully, surrendered. The person needs to be surrendered, right? It's kind of like, see, I'm not good at quoting scriptures and stuff because I didn't read any. It's kind of like now I kind of come across them or hear them from people. But I think like that's what Jesus was saying when he said, you got to die to yourself, right? It's like to enter heaven, you got to die to yourself. It's again, you got to die to the idea of you, the concept of you, the ego. You got to die to your ego. That's what it's talking about. So back to so when people are suffering, when you're seeing them create their own suffering, right? When they're worrying about something, you can see it's like, come on, all right, like just be present. Like that, everything that you're worrying about is just you imagining. And it's like you can see them imagining even worse case scenarios where it's like, oh, stop. Just be present. Just be here now. Not in dreamland, right? Dreaming up of all the future money problems that you're going to have, or the house problems, or whatever it is. So yeah, you feel it, but at the same time, it doesn't stick to you, or you feel it. And because you're so vast, the ocean, it's like you're feeling it, but it's just an experience that's within you that appears and disappears. But you definitely, that's where the compassion is, right? They're suffering, and because you are them, and you are. I get lost with the words, but anyways, they are you, and you are them, then it's your suffering, right? Suffering to suffer together. But also in times of the happiness, you're happy together. So like I said, I go to the park and you see like other people really happy and playing with their kids and whatever it is, or rollerblading or bike ride or whatever it is. Like it's like it's like you don't need to do it because they're doing it for you, kind of thing, and you're just getting the happiness. It's really hard to explain. Someone else, they're building a successful business, and it's like you're sharing that. You're sharing that happiness. You're sharing that success. That's because that's you, right? From the perspective of the ocean, and you see some other big tidal wave, big wave. As the ocean, you're like, that's me, right? That's me, right? So someone else is getting successful and fame and all that. Like, yeah, that's me. You go. So you're this is where, like, as the wave is not really happy for another wave. It's always like trying to compete with the other wave. Oh, that wave, why is that wave so much bigger than me? Right? I want to be big like that wave. That's from the viewpoint of the wave. From the viewpoint of the ocean, it's like, yeah, right? Like, it's the sharing of it, because there's not two. So it's very much, sharing the ups and downs with everyone else that so you walk and the other people, they're having a good time with their family and whatever it is at the park, pushing their kids on the swing, and it's that happy moment. Like, you just sit there and it just takes over. Sometimes I like, it happens a lot. It's not even sometimes, it happens a lot. It's just, again, like out in public and stuff like that. But even then, it doesn't matter, because you don't care what other people think, but it's just, you become so immersed in it. You see that happiness, and you just, it's like you close your eyes, and it's like you're the field of it. You're the field. You are happiness. It takes over. It just takes over, and you just feel it. But it's also, you don't even need the experience to feel that, because there's nothing amazing happening right now. Close your eyes, and if you're open, you might even be able to feel it. Right? And it's not, you might be, oh yeah, but you might be imagining a happy moment from the past, Mitch. You might be saying that, but there's no, like, that's the thing. There's no past, no future. It's just the present moment. The feeling is the minute of just say, like, I don't even need to close my eyes. I'm just kind of showing, because it's like, I can just sit here. It just feels like a relaxation of attention, where, again, the attention is then like on the wave, let's say, and then it just relaxes. It, like, it recedes. It's like the focus is closed on, like, let's say, the experience or the form here, and then it just, now it's fully immersed in self, in the ocean. You say it's fully immersed, and that's the feeling, is just that just that joy for no reason. It's just there. It's just the peace, the joy, the love. It's all there. It's there, and there's just the like the stillness, the silence that's aware of that. And it's just there, kind of thing, right? So it's, as it's opening up, there's more and more of that. but it does very much feel like it's like a relaxation. Kind of like if you went to like a spa or whatever, you notice that you just, you go there and then you feel like a little bit like maybe shy or something, but then you just start opening up, you start relaxing, and they want to make you feel relaxed. And it's all about, that's part of the reason why a lot of these places, yes, it's comfortable to wear a robe and everything, but it's kind of, again, it breaks you down in the sense of it helps you become more vulnerable and remove the armor, right? Let's all just look the same here, instead of, who's wearing the best Gucci and Prada and all this stuff, and think, look, everyone gets a robe, right? Everyone gets a robe, and you've stripped away a little bit of that armor, right? So then because you've removed some of that armor, now you're more open, right? And they got the soft music and everything. You just really relax in, and people are like, oh, I want to go back. But it's like, what actually happened there was there's an openness. There's a relaxation, right? Whereas on the path, you start seeing that you don't need those spas and stuff. Like you can do it yourself. And the irony is it's not a doing. It's actually a non-doing. Just kind of like when you're there and you're getting a massage on the table, like, what are you doing? You're not really doing anything, right? And you can just be in that state of non-doing, then you're just simply being. And that's what you're tasting, is the nature of your being, right? Or it's fully open. It's the nature of your being. It is happiness. It is peace. It is love. It is freedom. So you just taste more and more of it by just simply being. And that's all it is. It's just, I'm just not going to do anything right now, and just be. Like I said, is if you're open enough, the more open you are, the more sensitive you are, right? Like an open sensor. The more open the sensor is, the more it can sense, right? Also, the more you can receive. You can receive that same happiness, love, peace, freedom. You can receive it, right? So if you are feeling a little something, then check out, I got like a little playlist going of the transmissions. You can check out those, and you can start seeing that they're very transformative. They're transformative transmissions. They help attune you to that higher frequency. They help you resonate and tap into your being, which is the same being, right? Because on that level, there's not two, there's only one. So this has been long enough for one of these Life After Enlightenment videos. So let's end it there, and I'll see you in the next one.